Welcome back to the Fever Dream with your host, Eli the Computer Guy, as he slowly loses all of his hair. So, anyways, I finished doing 5 of the videos for class modules today, and we're going to talk about that because it might take longer than you think, or more correctly, it might take longer than I thought. And again, this is a perfect example of why ideas, folks, are fucking worthless and I hate them, and how actually shipping product is a shocking. I don't know. Is it a shocking pain in the ass? It's a pain in the ass. I'm not sure I'm so shocked anymore. So, anyways, if you don't know what I've been doing, again, Silicon Dojo is my little fever dream. The idea of empowering people with free tech education. So many people laugh at me when I say it. But anyways, I'm really excited now. Wix is awesome. Wix is awesome. They have this whole online education components, and that's part of the whole system when you buy it. So I'm in the process now of creating a 42 part. It is currently 42 parts of an introduction to Python series. And so my idea is I'll create that series, and then we'll have Bottle and all kinds of other series. So if you want to do self-study, my education, you can just go on, learn whenever you want, learn at your pace, the whole 9 yards. But anyways, yeah, this might take longer than I thought. Shocking, right? So, anyways, when you sit here, and again, the idea is, hey, Eli, not everybody can show up to your class at a specific time period. So maybe what if you did this whole online self-study thing, right? That's the idea. And then that's when the idea person leaves. They give you that idea, they pat themselves on the back, and they walk the hell away. Then it's up to you. Then it's up to you to actually implement the idea and ship the damn product. And so that's the interesting thing that I'm finding now. So yeah, doing this class, I did not think it was going to end up being 42 modules. So I spent about 2 weeks so far. It's 2 weeks basically writing it out. I still have a little bit more to write out, but anyway, I've been writing it out. And then I was looking at the 42 modules, and I was like, well, if I can knock out 10 videos a day. And again, it's me. It's Eli the Computer Guy, man. I do a 3-hour video and don't think twice about it. So, again, these are little 10-minute videos, less than 2 hours of video recording in a day. That should be pretty easy. So hopefully, again, the idea is to have this knocked out, in the beginning. We're now going to say the beginning of January. I did say by January, then I said the first week of January. Now we're just gonna say the beginning. The beginning of January is anywhere before the 15th of January, because again, so I did two videos yesterday, and I did 5 videos today, but the actual workflow for doing these videos is a lot bigger pain in the ass than doing the workflow for doing these videos. So do you know my workflow for this video? You know what my workflow for this video is? I set up my camera, or I set up my phone. It's just my phone. I hit record. I yabber at you people, and then I hit stop, and then I airdrop this entire damn video file to my computer, and then I upload the entire video file to YouTube, and that is my workflow. That is the amount of editing that I do. Yeah, I edit. I airdrop. Airdrop is my editor. Anyways, right. So when you're thinking about a workflow like this, and you're thinking about doing 10 videos for these modules, oh, you might underestimate how much work is involved. And the interesting thing, like doing these modules, is holy crap. Because again, they're education. They're education. So here I can spitball. I can say stupid stuff. Whatever. Right. Anyways, when you're doing education, if you misspeak, if you say parentheses when you mean single quotation mark or whatever else, it means you've got to retake that little snippet. And so these little modules aren't too long. Again, somewhere between 5 to 15 minutes per module of the finished product. But then the workflow for it, I've already written out all the information. I've already written out, right, the information. Basically, I'm just kind of reading from the script and then adding a little bit of additional stuff in there. But then, like, before I do the video, I have to proofread what I've written before to make sure it's correct and make sure I can spit it out. Like that's one of the weird things. Like, like communicating in writing is different than communicating verbally. And so sometimes when you write things, it doesn't work out well when you try to say it. So I have to go and I have to do that modification. I have to verify things. Like with one of the things that I did today with Shebangs, I'd verify that it actually worked on Windows the way I thought it worked on Windows. Anyway, so there's a little bit more. It's like even though it's written, there's work beforehand. Anyways, then you turn on the video. Then you turn on the video camera. And then you go to do your spiel. Be like, yeah, that wasn't quite right. And you go, yeah, that wasn't quite right. And then you get really far into your spiel. And then you say parentheses when you should have said single quotation marks. And then you got to start again. And then you're going along and you're doing the demonstration up on the big screen. And then for some reason, the font's the wrong damn size. And you're like, fuck. Then you got to redo that again. And so, again, this 10-minute video ends up taking like 30 minutes of recording. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Right? So instead of being 10 minutes of recording, it's 30 minutes of recording. 300 minutes a day is, it's time, but I guess I can do that. But then the interesting thing is, again, I'm recording all this stuff in 4K. Big files. So then I take, so I've got 5, so I've got 5 videos now, and I take that and I put it into my M2 Mac Pro and M2 Max Mac Pro, and it just tells me to go get a cup of coffee. It's like, thank you, sir. Why don't you go get a cup of coffee? It'll be a little while, right? Because basically all the video files that you have to render them into the Mac. So if they go off the micro SD card into the Mac, and that takes a while. Crap. And then you sit there, and then now I have these big video files, and then I've got to edit them. I've actually got to chop them up. And then I got to figure out where I screwed up and where I didn't screw up. And then I got, all right. And so instead of editing, instead of like chopping the front off and the back off, that's how I normally do videos, I've actually got to go through and I got to edit everything. And then since I got this screen, even though it's a nice big screen, I want to make it easier for people to read. So then I got to like crop. So for each shot that I do, I re-crop the shot so that the text on the screen behind me gets bigger, right? And so you got to do all that. And then you get finished. And then you got to hit encode. And so encoding takes, again, the M2, again, I love the M2 Max. The M2 Max is a great little computer. I like it almost as much as Wix. Not as much as Wix, but almost as much as Wix. But when you're doing 4K 30 frames per second, it's about a minute per minute of encoding, right? So for every minute of video file, it takes about a minute to encode. It's somewhere along those lines. So even until once I do 5 video files and I chop them down to be less than an hour, it's still going to be an hour of encoding. And then once they get encoded, then they've got to get uploaded to YouTube, however long that takes. And then once they're uploaded to YouTube, then I've got to embed them into the e-education platform. I've got to do some other stuff, some paperwork or whatever, and I'm realizing I am in fact realizing that trying to do 10 of these a day might not work out so well. Maybe 5 a day, but again, think about like timelines. You get paid to ship product, right? Employees get paid to show up to work. They punch their time card. And as long as their time card is punched, they expect to get work. If they're working, they expect to get paid. Right? If they're working, they expect to get paid. If they're getting coffee, they expect to get paid. If they're going to the toilet, they expect to get paid. If they're going out to protest their own company so that their company fires profitable clients, they expect to get paid during that protest, right? As long as they clocked in the morning, they're getting paid. See, you as the founder of a fever dream, you don't really know how you get paid. Apparently, you sell underpants. Underpants turns into $1 billion. I don't know. But think about this think about this with your idea, your fever dream. And so you're thinking, I'm going to be able to do 10 widgets a day, and I'm going to plan my life around 10 widgets a day. What happens when you can only do 5 widgets a day? Again, for me, whatever. It's going to take an extra week. Again, but that's the thing. It's like for me, this whole thing is probably going to take an extra 2 weeks of production. Like, isn't a killer. Whatever. Like for me, But again, like so just doing the videos is going to take an extra week, plus a lot of the whatever stuff that takes its own extra week, and so it's going to put me back about 2 weeks that I wasn't really planning for. I had not budgeted 2 additional weeks. But yeah, I've got to figure it out somehow. And so that's one of the things that you have to be thinking about as a founder of your fever dream is what happens if things don't work out how you think they're going to. Again, what happens when encoding videos takes longer than you think it will, or not even encoding videos? Of course, you know it's going to take a long time to encode videos. What happens when rendering videos takes longer than you thought it was going to take? What happens when there's more editing to be done than you thought there was going to be? What happens when all of these little tiny, a minute here, 5 minutes here, 20 hours there? What happens when all of those compound onto your schedule? And what happens when you have to push your schedule out by a week or two? Again, it's always funny to laugh at employees. I'll laugh at employees every day of the week, right? They tell you when they're going to get something done, and then it doesn't, right? But they're employees. That's what they do. It's what they do. They're getting paid. They don't care, right? But that's the thing. It's like when you're the boss, when you are the owner of the fever dream, getting delayed by 2 weeks can be massive. Like what happens if you have multiple projects backing up, right? So you finish this project so you can get on the next project so you can on the next project, right? And let's say this is a fixed price project, right? This project you are going to charge $10,000 and you're going to get $8,000 profit off this project, and you expect it to take you a month. Right? What happens when it takes you 2 months? So instead of making $8,000 in a month, which isn't actually great, I know a lot of people are like, "Whoa, that's only 96 a year." That's 96 a year as a business owner. But anyways, what happens when it goes from $8,000 of profit for a month's worth of work to it extends out to 2 months? And so now it's $4,000 a month. So you went from $96,000 a year to $48,000 a year based off of that particular model. And then what happens if you were supposed to have basically projects lined up and now the next project is backed up so you can't get to that one? And then what happens as those dominoes start to fall? Something to ponder and something to think about. And this is why you have to start building from day one. This is why I sneer at ideas people. This is why I mock ideas people. This is why I think ideas people should get tarred and feathered, and we should all laugh at them as we drink really good quality beer. Because that's the thing. The idea is just the idea. Oh, you know what you should do, Eli? You should do a self-study program. Great. How are we going to implement that? Oh, I'm just an ideas person. Right. So anyways, I think that's kind of an interesting thing to ponder. It's an interesting thing to ponder and an interesting thing to think about. How much longer is all this stuff going to take? Because yeah, this is going to get pushed back for me. Thankfully, Python is going to be like the longest series for a while. Again, we're going to do a bottle series, and we're going to do CSS and HTML and some other series. So those will be a lot smaller. Hopefully they won't be 42 damn parts. This might be 50 parts. Anyways, we're not going to get into it. Anyways, so this will be the longest one for a while. But it is interesting how the scope of this particular project and the amount of effort for this particular project is just continuing to increase. So anyways, there you go. Start building from day one, because when you start building from day one, you are going to see the problems you didn't realize existed. Again, Donald Rumsfeld, right? A moron can be right twice a day. A moron can be right. Donald Rumsfeld said back when we got into Iraq, when he got us into Iraq, basically he said there are the known knowns, there are the known unknowns, right? That you know that there are unknowns. And then there are the unknown unknowns. And the unknown unknowns are the problems you don't even think to ask about. And when they pop up, and the unknown unknowns can just fucking ravage your ass. So anyways, my videos have now been imported into Final Cut, so I've got to go do some work. See y'all later.